Hi, I'm Anthony of Sydney Backyard Veggies. After a 3-month wait, I'm ready to start harvesting the first of my tomatoes in my patch. Tomatoes were planted out in mid-August and now we're in mid-November, and at the moment I'm seeing close to half a dozen pieces of fruit that are ready to harvest. Now I'm going to take them off the vine now and show you the harvest that I get, but before I do that, let me just give you a quick rundown of how my tomatoes are doing at the moment. I'm at my first plant of tomatoes here, and the variety is called Thunder, and over the past 3 months I have been putting up a few videos on how I fertilize, prune and stake these tomatoes. We are finally ready to start harvesting, and you can just see this one has just colored up on the plant. And I find with this variety the tomatoes really do ripen early, which is great for my context. Get them out of the ground before fruit fly strike comes through. But looking at them, once the first one ripens, I find it sort of almost encourages the rest of them to start ripening. So if I can look over here, got my ripe tomato here, and the ones next to it are just starting to color. I have at least 6 or 7 tomatoes here. I did harvest one this morning for breakfast, but I'm gonna go and harvest the fruit that I can, and then I will come through and show you the final haul. I'll do the first one. Beautiful. I don't like to let the tomato fully ripen on the vine. I tend to find that they get attacked by insects if you leave them too long, or birds or rats in that matter. Harvesting them a bit green, they will then ripen on the bench, and they'll do perfectly well indoors. Beautiful. Just finished my harvest, got myself 10 beautiful pieces of fruit. Really perfect. I'm really happy with how these produce this year, and can't wait to start eating these fresh straight from the patch. We're taking these inside just to get them to ripen up just a little bit more. These green ones will ripen over the next few days on the bench. A lot of these are going to be eating fresh at the moment, but the idea is I'll be making a lot of sauces out of these tomatoes. I make my year's passata out of the tomato crops that I grow throughout the summer. But at this stage, I'm just going to really enjoy them fresh. I've been waiting for a while for tomatoes, so really happy they're coming in. Now that they're starting to ripen, I'm expecting a lot of these tomatoes, they tend to ripen all at the same time, I find, and I find that these will be ripening over the next month, which is perfect. I'm going to try to see if I can extend it beyond fruit fly season, but we'll see how we go. If they start getting too infected with fruit flies, I'll just pull them out and start my next round. Just as an update on my tomatoes, I have been harvesting my tomatoes for about 2 weeks now, and I have taken off a lot of the fruit. I'm actually starting to harvest the Farah now. Previously, the Thunder was the one that was producing early, and just going through and harvesting the fruit at the moment. Got a lot of beautiful looking tomatoes. I'm harvesting them just a little bit green, just to make sure that they go inside and get ripened indoors. Gotta come and just finish off harvesting the rest of these, and as you can see, they seem to, when they start coming through, they start coming through really thick. The tomato harvest is coming in fast. What I am starting to see now, as we come in a bit more warm, humid weather, I'm getting blight coming through the leaves. Now I am working to control this damage, but at the stage I'm at with these plants, I'm happy for them to start falling away. Once I harvest these tomatoes, I'm expecting to actually pull them out in about mid to late December. So as long as I get the current crop that's on these fruits off, I'll be fine. To control this in the meanwhile, I'll be pruning whatever damaged leaves there are, and just give them a bit of spray with wettable sulfur, and that should really slow it down. But once I get the plants, once I get the fruit off, I'll just be pulling these out and making some space, potentially for corn or some late season zucchini. So happy that the harvest is still coming through, and not too concerned about the disease. I'll be starting a second planting of tomatoes this week, and a third one in about late January. I'm over at my second planting cucumbers, and during the week I installed the string trellis system, and as you can see the cucumbers have been growing progressively up this, and I've been spending 20 minutes every evening just to come through and train the vines onto the string. And it's a simple matter of just bringing the vine and just every day, every second day, just twisting the vine around that string, and that progressively just keeps it supported. As you can just see, if you can just read that in the camera, there's a little indentation in the line and in the leaf, and that is where the line holds, and actually stays quite secure in that spot. It doesn't actually get blown away, and actually find it lifting them off the floor, they seem to do a lot better, especially with the heat and when you get a lot of rain. Just makes the plants a lot better, so you can actually plant them a lot more intensive. I have planted here at 20 centimeter spacings, 2 plants 20 centimeter spacings, and they seem to be doing quite well. And I'll just continue that, and when it gets to the top, what I'll be doing is adding a bit of mesh, and they'll just sit and sprawl across the top of the trellis. But they're looking really good at the moment, these cucumbers, and it just started flowering. You can just see the first flowers there. These are greenhouse plants, and these plants don't have any male flowers. It's all so fertile female flowers, so you end up getting a lot of crop out of these cucumbers. I'm back over at my cucumbers, and now that they're starting to flower, it's the time to add the first round of side dressing. I'm going to be adding chicken manure pellets, dynamic lifter. I'm going to add a small handful to the base of each of the plants, and on top of that I'm going to be adding a little bit of potash. With all my fruiting vegetables, potash is the way to go. You really need that extra potassium so that they can form their fruit, and I find whether it's cucumbers, capsicums, tomatoes, eggplant, or anything like that, I always add in a little bit of potash. Really helps. And in adding the fertilizer, just give it a little pour just there, just at the irrigation line near the base of the plants, and with the potash just a little bit of a pour on top, and that's enough. Look, ideally I like to cover up the potash with a bit of soil, as it's quite immobile, but over time I may come through and slightly heal the soil around these plants and cover up those that fertilizer. So now that I've added this fertilizer, I'll get the irrigation running on them to start that breakdown process, start feeding these plants. I will add more fertilizer in that 6 to 8 weeks time, but I'm expecting to start harvesting these. Now that we start a few flowers, we'll be harvesting these in about 2 weeks time, and hopefully by that time I would have planned out my third round of cucumbers for the season, and I'll find another spot to put them in. Just as an update on my cucumbers, it's been 2 weeks since I applied that fertilizer. You can see the vines are just starting to reach the top. I do need to come through and keep vining. They are doing some side shoots, and you can just see these additional side shoots doing its support. I will try to see if I can move these beans across. The beans have started growing into the cucumber space, but there are some small cucumbers starting to show up, and you can just see that right there. I'll be harvesting that over the week. Disease has been pretty good. No mildew as of yet. I will be treating with a little bit of copper oxychloride just to make sure I keep that mildew at bay. But besides that, hoping once these start producing in about another 2-3 weeks time, add another round of fertilizer. They're looking really good. I need to go and add a bit of a mesh to the top here, because once they hit the top, the idea is you want them to just lay it across the trellis system at the top here. And I'll keep you posted when I start harvesting the first of my cucumbers from this patch. I'm going to be spending this hot windy afternoon out in my patch, and I'm actually working over here on my main bed just adjacent to the cucumbers. I've been eyeing this spot off for the last 2 or 3 weeks to be planting another round of sweet corn in this spot. This was where I had my cauliflower was planted out in the previous 3 months. I let the ground rest a bit, and now I'm going to be preparing the soil to plant out sweet corn seedlings, which I've been growing for the last 2 weeks. I've dug over the soil here and I've removed a lot of the old waste garden material. I'm going to be putting down 3 bags of cow manure. Compost had been applied quite deeply in this spot before I planted out the cauliflower, and there's still some remnants of that compost in the soil, but I am topping it up with cow manure at the moment just to really bring up that organic matter. But what I'll be also adding to the bed is a couple of scoops full of dynamic lifter pellets just to really increase the nitrogen content in the soil. I'm going to spread it out in about 10-15 centimeter layer using my hoe, and I'll be mixing it all into that top layer of soil, and then I'll set out my rows. I just finished adding that manure and amendments, and I've straightened out the bed, and now I have set out my rows, and I've set out 4 rows 60 centimeters apart. And then what I've done is I made these trenches, which I've now pre-watered. I've decided I'm going to plant my seedlings into pre-watered trenches at this stage. Usually I water after I plant the seedlings, but I'm going to give this a go. It might be easier for me to work with, especially in this hot weather we're having today. These are the seedlings I'm going to be planting out, and the variety is called Max. This is a new batch of seeds, and I'm actually quite disappointed with how poor the germination has been. As you can see, these are 100 cell punnets, and I've probably got 50 seedlings, so I've only getting like 50% germination, probably even less than that. But there's just enough here. But what I'm having to do is, as I'm growing 40-50 plants at a time, I'm going to have to try to really start a large number of seeds to make sure I have enough to fill out the patch. As with all my seedlings, using the trowel, handle the trowel just to dibble a bit of a spot for the seedling. I'm try to see if I can get the seedling out. Right, roots and all. I find that they're quite durable. There you go, that's the seed I'm going to be planting out. Usually I do this with dry soil. It's a bit harder, I find now, to compress the soil around the root ball, but that's planted at 30 centimeter spacing, nominally around here. Again, continue the process. I don't like my corn seedlings to be too old. I like to leave them at that 2 leaf stage. They're planted. Got to progressively plant down the row. I'm not sure if I've got enough seeds to fill up the whole bed, but we'll see how I go. I'm expecting to get at least 9 per row, probably at all close to 36 to 40 seedlings across the whole bed. Just finished planting out that bed. Ended up with 9 plants per row, 36 in total. Just gave them a quick second watering just to make sure that soil forms up well around the base. Should be okay. They're looking really, really good actually. I'm going to start my next round of seedlings. I reckon there's a bit of space opening up in the back part of the garden over there near the cherry tomatoes, which I might plant some further seedlings, but these ones are okay. I'll apply fertilizer to them in about 4 weeks time. Hopefully be looking at harvesting in January. Mid-January will be the time we're harvesting these ones. So happy that they're in the ground. Like to get corn. I love growing corn, and it's a great thing to have in your kitchen during summer. It literally tastes like sweet corn from the garden. Literally tastes like someone's covered it in honey. It is that sweet. It's beautiful. So I'm going to put a bit of cap protection over them, make sure they're looked after, and I'll put the irrigation on next week, and then we'll go from there. And just as an update to my corn patch, it's now 3 weeks since I first planted out this planting of corn, and they're just shooting along. It's funny, once the heat starts warming up here, they come along really, really fast. I did have the first planting of cucumbers here, which I had removed and planted the last of the seedlings. These are actually a week younger than the ones adjacent. Still having a little problems with the wind knocking them around, so this one's going to be dying, and I've lost another one just over here as well. But what I'll be doing is this week adding my fertilizer, just some more chicken manure pellets to the base of these plants, and then hilling the soil around the plants to stop the wind from knocking them around. I'm expecting at this rate, tassels will start showing on these plants in about 3 weeks time. So it looks like I might be able to have corn in times for New Year's, which is great. Looking for more locations for my next planting of corn, and I'm thinking again over where the silver beet patch is at the back. I'm about to pull that out, and I'm looking at putting in some new plants there. I have brought some new seeds, tried a different variety this time around, another commercial grade variety, and I'll share that with you in my next video. I've got to see if it produces better than Max, but Max is a great producer and really happy with how they do, and hopefully I'll be harvesting a few corn in time to come. Thank you very much everyone for joining me in this video. I really appreciate all the support, and I hope to see you in the next one.